after days of test fitting and grinding and cutting and clearancing and all this, we finally got the main box, structural box of this thing in. So basically the main hoops all in, the A-pillar and roof bars are in, the roof bar, I guess these would be, yeah, A-pillar bars, the roof bar, and then we've got the lower sill bars on both sides, basically kind of making it a complete box where we know everything is square and fit, and that sort of thing. It went pretty good. Everything lined up really well, as usual. You know, your base plates are going to be pretty fun to weld. Front ones won't be too bad. They've got quite a bit of room there, but it all fits really good. Good tight against the A-pillars there, as you can see. You almost can't even see daylight through there, but spent probably, I don't know, 3 days or so kind of test fitting, cutting, test fitting, just, you know, a million times in and out. But today we finally got it kind of all tacked together, so it can kind of stay put. And we've mocked up the roof X as well. It all seems to fit pretty good, so I'm super happy with that. So next I'll probably work on starting to either cut the jambs for the upper bars, or I may start grinding and cleaning for the rear kickers, as they call them, that go from the main hoop down to the shock towers. So not sure which one I'll work on first, but yeah, big day today. Super excited to finally have this thing kind of in fitting. Next step too is going to be starting to cut and clearance the hard top. All this kind of thickness here will all need to go. I'm going to try to keep this, if I can, just for wind deflection, try to keep some of the air out of the cab, but for sure all of this thickness will need to go, and then kind of all this area, and then the main hoop kind of sits right back here in this double thick area too. So I'll just need to cut this inner liner out, and then just leave essentially the outer carbon skin. It's kind of what the game plan is there. But yeah, just super happy to finally get to this point and get some of these bars in the car. So we'll keep moving forward. And I've got this coping cut here. I need to move in a couple of inches. So what I've done is I've drawn this center line here on the top just to keep the clocking correct in the tube. And I've just taken this poster board or whatever, left a little gap in it so I can see that clocking line. Then I've come up here and I've traced the end of the tube and then cut it, so I can just cut it back. I'll probably start at about 1.5 inches, test fit that, and then probably go sneak up on the 2 inches or so that I think I kind of need to shorten it. So that's what I'm going to try to kind of keep this coping. This side won't be as critical, but the other end over here has got a bunch of angles and stuff on it that's going to be a lot more critical. Try to replicate that. So I'm trying this little poster board idea. can't remember where I left off filming, but I finally got this thing done. I spent the winter kind of taking my time putting this cage in, and finally got it all done. Door bars fit super good in the hollowed out doors. Got all the electronics back in, the Holly system, that sort of thing. Got seat and bottom harnesses back in. I'll do the top in a little bit. Just kind of an overview of everything. Everything went pretty good. It all fit good. Customized a few things just kind of to my liking. This door bar changed a little bit. Just went to a standard single straight upper bar there instead of fooling with the NASCAR bars and having to notch the door jamb and all that. But all worked pretty good. Went together really well. I'm super happy with how it came out. My kind of two-piece plan out of the car worked really well, where I could weld it all and get to everything out of the car and paint it and then put it back in. That worked really well, so really happy.